Welcome to the Breaking Average podcast, the podcast designed to challenge you to break the mold that average has on the world. Each episode offers insights directly from those who choose to break average every day. Now for the latest insights, here are your hosts, Paul Gustafson and Barry Smith.
Welcome to the Breaking Average podcast. I am here with Barry, and we're having so much fun just digging in some of these great sports memories, moments that have changed our life and maybe the lives of others, impact moments. Barry, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Here we go. One more episode. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I didn't expect this from you. I really didn't expect this pick from you.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't.
Because you are a Raider fan, all right? So he made a pick. We all made picks, and we're like, what significant element, moment, player? And this was pretty significant because the moment that you described was a Raider moment, but it wasn't starring a Raider. So I'll let you unpack this story a little bit and have some fun with it. So this is good. This is an origin story, really, the way I see it. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is, it was a challenge just to even create our list, right? I really want to put some thought into this and, what are the moments that have impacted me? Who are the players that have impacted me? And a story just kind of popped into my head. And I thought, you know what, like we do with any of our podcasts, we want to make it a learning experience, right? Something we can use to grow personally, grow professionally, make it meaningful, not just a sports deal. This is not a sports podcast, right? We've just chosen to take, bring sports into it for a few episodes here and just kind of tie that into something that can be really meaningful for us. And so as I was kind of thinking about different things, something struck me and I thought, isn't that interesting? And so got to go back a ways, got to go back to 2001. And, being born into Raider Nation, yes, my life as far back as I can remember has revolved around the Oakland, and now Las Vegas Raiders. And certainly a lot of stories there, but I go back to 2001. And I know some of our listeners, and we kind of teed it up in the front end podcast episode here, but some of the listeners will definitely remember the infamous tuck rule game. 2001 season playoffs. First year, Tom Brady was actually leading the Patriots as it was the second year, but first year that he really led them through the season. And there they are in the playoffs, the Patriots and the Raiders. The snow's coming down. Raiders have a 10-point lead late, and here comes Brady bringing them back and drops back. And Charles Woodson, one of my favorite guys who plays for the Raiders, comes in, hits Brady, drops the ball, Raiders cover it. Like that pretty much seals the game. But no, we'll take another look at that. And because of the infamous tuck rule, they ruled it incomplete. The Patriots went on to tie it up and win it. And, with that was Brady's first win. And he went on to beat Pittsburgh in the championship game and then on to beat the Rams, in the Super Bowl for his first Super Bowl victory, first Super Bowl MVP, 24 years old. Who'd have thunk a guy that got drafted 6th round, 199 would turn into that, and getting an opportunity to even be starting with the team after Drew Bledsoe got hurt and went down early in that season. And so, that, like most sports fans can appreciate, it's things like that go, I hate that guy. You got the people you love and the people that you just hate in the sports world. You either love them or hate them, right? So many of those things. And so certainly the Patriots and Brady was never anybody I rooted for or cheered for. Fast forward, and then trust me, stick with me here. There's a life lesson in this, right? Fast forward, Super Bowl 51, Atlanta, big fan of Matt Ryan, Atlanta and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Atlanta goes out 28-3 lead. It looks like it's all over. Matt Ryan's going to get his Super Bowl victory, but no, there's a guy named Tom Brady who decides, I don't think so. We're just going to come back. We're going to tie it up. We're going to force this game into overtime. And we're going to win another Super Bowl. It's like, my gosh, this guy haunts me even when the Raiders are not playing. So naturally, that didn't change my feelings for Mr. Tom Brady very much. Still a guy who's just aggravating me in one way or another. Then fast forward to 2020. Now we all know what happened in 2020. The pandemic is upon us, right? The world shuts down. Well, as a sports fan, and again, I know all our listeners are not, as nuts about sports as maybe you and I are, but there's no sports. There's no nothing. There's no travel. You don't even go out of your house. They shut down businesses. We were all there. We lived through it. So for a sports fan, it's like, oh my gosh, what do we do, man? I'm just having withdrawals. There's no news. There's no nothing. All we hear is it's postponed. It's canceled. The season may be done in any sport. So the first thing we get is the NFL draft. Usually not a huge event necessarily, but it's the first and only thing we've had access to. And so ESPN does a great job, just the backstories and everything. And so sports fan gets a little taste of back into the reality of there is something going on. It was about a month after that. There was an event they put up to raise money to take care of COVID victims. And it was Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson playing Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods in a golf match fundraiser, raised $10 million, to help people dealing with COVID. And so they got these guys mic'd up and they're out there playing in the rain and just having candid conversations and just, laughing with each other and just having a good time, all for a good cause. And I'll tell you, Paul, was that at that moment, I'm like, why have I been so against this guy? Right. Yes, maybe from a competitive level on the sports field, I get it. But it really struck me, here I am, and part of what I like to think my personal growth journey has been less judgmental. Now we've all, some of us more judgmental than others, but I thought, you know what? This is not the only instance when maybe I've been a little more judgmental than I should have. And, judging a book by its cover, right? Not thinking about what's inside. And it was really a life learned for me. Here I am, a guy who just made me crazy for a couple of decades. And now here he is out, raising money for a good cause, trying to bring some type of entertainment back into the sports world, give people hope, that there is something coming back. And so, how does this all tie into what we're doing with these, with these podcast episodes? It's just like, man, what do we really do on a daily basis? Certainly this story and timeline was amplified for me because of the connection with sports. But I think we make these kind of judgments on a daily basis. And man, what do we miss out on in relationships? How do we ourselves look, if we're maybe judging somebody who may be a good person, but, we've got some ridiculous reason why we think there's some errors or flaws, or maybe they're not a fit. And so I just, I know we got a few more things to talk about Mr. Brady and really what was behind him. But I thought, man, this is crazy. Then I did not know, but I went to an event in Las Vegas last month, and who closes out the event but Tom Brady?
I'm
so like,
closed it out.
What? And I'll tell you. So it was an interview format, and it was one of the most impressive interviews, sports in probably any kind of interview, but definitely sports interviews that I've ever seen. And for about an hour, Tom was just very candid about a lot of things. He had some great questions thrown at him, and the thing that really resonated with me is when he was asked about, getting the win. It's all about winning. And certainly he's spoken into that, but he said it really isn't. It's about two things. It's about the competition, and it's about how I make the people around me better. And that just sealed the deal for me. I was like, okay, as much as Raider Nation, forgive me, but I'm a lifelong Tom Brady fan now because of attitude, the things he said, and just that commitment to adding value to others. It was never about his personal records, and good grief, he's got just about every passing record there is in the NFL now, playing that long and at that high level. But it was really about his team. And you look at some of the names that have been with him, and certainly some stars, but some other guys who were just, regular Joes playing in the NFL. And some of those guys have gone on to other teams, haven't had near the success they had playing with Brady and on Brady's team. And credit to Bill Belichick as well. Tom despite all that's gone on there and leaving the team, never a bad thing to say about him. Certainly looked at him as a mentor. So there was just that chemistry there. But I really think Tom Brady is who made that team successful. His mindset, something we're talking about always. But what he said, how he framed that it wasn't about the win, it was about the competition, about competing, and it was really about how he could make his teammates better and help them, take it to the next level. And man, it just impressed me. It's so authentic. Not about the jewelry, not about the bling, not about the records, not about the money. It was about how do I make people better? And I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the booth and the stories that come out of it, because I just think he's that kind of a guy. He's not going to stop now. So there's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, dude.
Just a solid guy.
Tom Brady. Actually, let me rephrase that. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. If you're watching this podcast, then I just think we found the person that should give the NFL Hall of Fame enshrinement speech for you. It's Mr. Barry Smith.
Oh, of course. And I'll be wearing my Raider gear.
And Tom Brady could still be a Raider. Maybe. He could always come out of retirement. He could be the first quarterback that gets selected for the Hall of Fame, that actually comes out of the Hall of Fame and plays. There's only one other person that I know that did that, and they weren't a player; they were a coach. Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs was nominated in the Hall of Fame, and then got pulled out, not out of the Hall of Fame, but got pulled back into the game to coach as a Hall of Fame coach. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about Thomas Brady, not Brady from the Brady Bunch.
Nope.
1977. He was born in 1977. Barry, that's a while ago.
A few years.
He's just a couple years older than me.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe. Significant people born, the same time frame, right? So think about Randy Moss, was born in 1977. That was one of his teammates.
Yeah.
But think about that, man. You said something really interesting. You have a love for him now, and we all do. We appreciate that. We appreciate everything that he did. But there was a stretch there where I don't want to say despised him, but you weren't a big fan of Tom Brady.
No, I was not, admittedly.
He's the underdog. How could you not be a Tom Brady fan? And I'm just being devil's advocate here for fun, right? How could you not be a Tom Brady fan? He's the underdog. He's pick 199. There's 6 other quarterbacks maybe picked before him, some that you wouldn't never have seen their names ever. The guy for the 49ers, did he ever play? That he was picked, the second quarterback picked? I forget his name. It was really strange.
Exactly. Forget his name.
Right. So, we know Chad Penning. Was it Penning or Pennington?
Again,
Jets.
Pennington.
And he was the quarterback for Randy Moss back at Marshall. He's the first pick for the Jets. And he didn't even go they said that Tom Brady, you could take his career, split it in half, and be Hall of Fame for both halves.
No, I'll do better than that. I looked at something that had his stats in his 20s, in his 30s, and his 40s, broken into 3 sections.
3 decades.
And they were all Hall of Fame careers. 3 of them.
Yeah. So here's this guy, underdog, 199. He happens to beat your team. Tuck rule, not his fault per se, right? So they go on, they advance it. They're going against the Rams in the Super Bowl. He's a rookie.
Yeah, basically.
The greatest show on turf.
Kurt Warner.
Now, what pick was
There's
Kurt
a whole
Warner?
other story.
What pick was Kurt Warner?
I'd have to get back to the grocery store he was working at and
Nope.
get back to you.
He was not a pick. He was just a scrap pile guy. We need somebody to come in. You got some skills, arena football. Why don't you try out for the Rams? There he is, man, airing it out. Got some great receivers, greatest show on turf. They're going to win the Super Bowl. There's no doubt. Tom Brady's just a rookie, and he wins that thing. And he not only, I mean, the team not only win that game, he's the MVP. That was just huge. And most guys would have said, "I did it. We just won a Super Bowl." How many quarterbacks get back into the Super Bowl? And I don't know how many times he was in it because he didn't win it every single time.
Nine. I think nine. I think he was 7-2.
Yeah. So he's got 7 rings. Pretty amazing. And so I would say Tom Brady, growth minded.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
And he wasn't expected to play at all for the Patriots. Didn't expect to play at all. Bledsoe gets hurt early in the season, I think.
Yep.
He goes in, fills in, and he was prepared. And so there's a lesson there. Maybe we can get kind of an early tip and challenge out of this whole conversation about preparedness, just that element of it. And so you and I had a chance to talk a little bit before we hit the record. And what spurred my mind was something about law of navigation, right? So opportunities will come, but we have to be ready for those opportunities. We don't know when those opportunities will come. We don't even know what those opportunities are going to be, but we can always prepare no matter what. So what was the acrostic? Because I don't have it in front of me, but I had you do a little dig for me.
Yeah, plan ahead.
Go ahead. Share that one.
Yeah, so I'll share this quote. I'll set this up with a quote from Brady. I thought I would never get it. Now, bear in mind, when he started at Michigan, all right, for those of you who don't know, quarterback at University of Michigan, when he started there, he was number 7 on the depth chart, right? So he had to dig through all that even to get a chance to play there. And it wasn't really till his sophomore or junior year when he really got a chance to start playing. So he starts out with that. And then he goes 199, right? And so this is what he said. He said, I thought I would never get a chance to play until one time I did, because I was prepared and the opportunity presented itself. So it goes back into that preparation, which comes up in a lot of the things that we talk about. I love the quote, when you prepare for the moment will prepare for you. Everybody I work with, I try and, just encourage them, be ready for that moment, because those opportunities are going to come, and they're going to come in crazy places where you least expect them. And man, you don't want to get to the end of a conversation and just go, I blew a great opportunity. So always be thinking into what can I do to better prepare for an opportunity that will come my way? How can I become, smarter, more confident, more competent in maybe what you're working with? John Maxwell came up with this acrostic on plan ahead, right? Plan ahead. We should always plan ahead. But now if you're taking notes, all right, here's a good opportunity for you to take notes. I know you can hit rewind, but if you're taking notes, here it is. Plan ahead. First P, predetermine your course of action. Predetermine your course of action. In other words, what are you going to do? I think a lot of us just kind of, figured out as we go, right? Not a whole lot of intentionality. Predetermine your course of action. L, lay out your goals. All right. And I encourage you all to write them down. Just lay them out in your head. Write them down. Okay. Lay out your goals. A, allow time for adjustments. Okay, this is where I see people get stuck because they don't give themselves permission. They do one of two things. They don't give themselves permission to adjust, or they just don't plan that they're going to need it, and it's just okay, that didn't work, and they quit, right? So allow time for adjustments. So it's never going to go per plan. And so here comes the backside of plan. Notify key personnel. All right, so more of an organizational idea. But who do you need to tell? Maybe you need to just simply get some accountability. If you're just working on an individual plan ahead here, right? But notify key personnel. Let people know what you're doing and why. All right, so there's your plan ahead. Second on A now. Allow time. Oh,
hold on a second.
All right.
We haven't taken action yet.
Dude, we're just settle down. Settle down. It's coming. It's
So
coming.
what I mean, but this is really an important point here,
Yes.
guys. A lot of times we think, oh, okay, I'm just going to go take action. Yes, you need to take action, but there's some steps you got to do first. Barry, I love what you're sharing, and I just want to encourage everybody, go through these steps and keep going, because I know there's a few more before we actually take action.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the A, allow time for acceptance. All right. So you predetermine your course of action. You laid out your goals. You've allowed time for adjustments. Notify key personnel. So you're getting this all ready to go. Right. So allow time for acceptance. Right now. Okay. Here it is. Here's my plan. Is this going to work? Do I need to do anything else? Do a little review, evaluation on it. Allow time for acceptance. Then we get to the H. Head into action.
Ooh.
There's your action, Mr. Paul. Head into action. It's time. Execute it, man. Now, so here's where it gets interesting. The E, expect problems. As we know, they will always show up. So just two things: expect them, and I want to add accept them. Yeah. Right? Expect them and accept them, because they're coming. And if you let a problem, a challenge, a barrier get in the way of what you're trying to achieve, it's going to be tough. It's a bailout, right? It's where a lot of people get to this point. They run into a problem, and it's game over. All right, I'll go on to my next thing. So expect those problems. A, always point to the positive. Gap in the gain, right? Build on your successes, wins. Get excited about that. Build some momentum. Always point to the positive. Yes. And then the D, the final piece of this puzzle, daily review.
Ooh.
Is it working? Do you need to re-navigate a little bit? What could you do more of? What do you need to do less of? What do you need to start? What do you need to stop? That daily review. And if you follow that, man, that's a pretty good roadmap. I think that's a pretty good roadmap to success right there from Mr. John C. Maxwell. Plan ahead.
That is a powerful, I remember him sharing that. It was one of those first kind of eureka moments of teaching, in the young life of John Maxwell, when he started to share more about leadership. This was one of the first things that he had captured and wrote down. And he reflects this in the law of navigation. And I remember being struck by him sharing that. And our mentor, Scott Fay, was talking about this one. And what struck me specifically was not a delay of taking action, the preparation that comes before action.
Yeah.
I grew up a Boy Scout, and we had a tagline that said, "Be prepared."
Yep.
And there have been times in my life where I neglected that mindset.
Oh yeah, definitely. You and me
both.
And
I have paid the price for not being prepared.
Yeah.
Now, I have found a return on investment when I do. And so when we go back to Tom Brady, what I want people to see is not just the GOAT, greatest of all time. He wasn't the greatest at pick number 199. What made him great was preparation.
Yeah.
And there's something for all of us to learn from that. And not only was it just preparation, was, okay, what do I need to know? What do I need to learn? How can I get better? What can I build on? Gap in the gains, back to your point earlier.
Yeah.
And just continually to go through that process. And then it's realizing, wait a minute, it's not just me around here. There's Gronkowski, there's different players. I need to work with them. I got to get Edelman. I got to get on the same page with these guys. We need to get in sync.
And I think that's where his success came from. Look, I'm not gonna say absolutely Tom Brady was the hardest working quarterback or NFL player ever. But I think you combine his work ethic, he's certainly one of them, but you combine that work ethic with what he did for his teammates to have 11 guys on the field be prepared at the highest level. Man, it's no wonder they had the record and the success that they did. It's what's the old saying? You're strong as your weakest link. Most of the time, there was not a weak link on that New England offense.
Yeah.
And it showed. That's why there's 6 rings while Brady was in New England. It's just, again, what are we doing to do that for our team, or our family, or our kids, all these different things, our life lessons. Now we are, north of 50, right? we're
Mhm.
we're most likely on the back half of our service here on Earth. And what are we doing to make that difference around, to those around us?
So here's something else I want to talk about that's related to this. People's presumptions of what you can do or can't do.
Oh,
If Tom Brady heard all the pundits and the analysts and you know, he was picked 199. He wasn't the first pick. Most team would, if they could go back in time, they would say, let's get Brady. They would. There's no doubt about it.
yeah.
And think about this. But here's what they were saying. One national scout said, I don't like him. I don't like him. Right before the draft. Smart guy, that's it. Smart guy, that's it. All right. And then somebody else said, well, he had a great bowl game, but I think he's just very common. He's just pretty average. He's bony, very thin, you can see the ribs on his build, and his arm is just adequate. All right. A lot. I mean, there were some positive elements to it, but a lot of these things were not endearing at all. And if he's listening to that, what are the soundtracks that begin to play in your mind when you start to hear all these thoughts? It's not good.
I wonder if, on the last episode, we talked about Herb Brooks, the coach of the 1980 Olympic hockey team, and what he went through in picking the people, right? Not necessarily the talent and the skills, but picking people. Now, I wonder what that draft was like, back in 2000 when Brady went 199. I wonder how much they were thinking about the people skills part of it. And I don't know. I wonder what elements of that he brought in at Michigan. Why was he different there? Did those on the inside know about, kind of that gift he had? Because I can't imagine it's just something that just showed up once he hit the NFL. Just a competitive guy throughout. He was actually drafted in '95 by the Montreal Expos to play baseball. Into their farm system, and stuck with football at Michigan. And everybody knows the rest of the story. But a great athlete, and chose to go down the road he went down. But just think about the impact that he had on, I don't know. I can only imagine how many players he played with and had the opportunity to mentor while he was at New England, and even the 3 years at Tampa. Wow. Again, legacy. There'll be legacy, from Tom Brady's teammates.
Yeah.
Well, moving forward, influenced a lot of guys in a positive way.
And what I want to encourage folks is there probably are some positive soundtracks that you need to grab a hold of that people are saying about you, because I wonder if this is one that he pulled in early on. He was like, okay, I needed to hear that. I needed at least one person to see what I hope for. And here is one comment from NFL personnel guy. He says, outstanding leader, priest-like personality, calm, wise, and thoughtful. He's accepting of what comes his way. I like that statement. He's accepting of what comes his way. Doesn't appear to be dynamic. Well, that's a little bit of a struggle, but hear the rest of this. Has a calming demeanor, well-liked, class kid, has work ethic, respected by his teammates, 2 supportive parents who attend every game. Now there's some elements of that you can build off of. And back to your conversation earlier with Brooks about values. What do you value? Well, I would imagine that Tom Brady had some pretty key core values that he uses as a foundation to build off of.
Well, yeah, I mean, he definitely did. I think I think one of my favorite quotes I dug up, to me, football is so much about mental toughness. It's digging deep, it's doing whatever you need to do to help a team win. And that comes in a lot of shapes and forms. And until I hit that last couple of words, I'm like, okay, typical football sports quote comes in a lot of shapes and forms. And I just, it said to me, okay, here's a guy operating at a level of awareness that can tap into just about anything going on, whether it's the naysayers, whether it's the critics, whether it's the encouragers, whatever it is. And he certainly dealt with all of the above in his career, but somehow they always found a way. His teams always found a way to dig a little bit deeper, than the other guy. And it just, it's a difference maker. It's again, it's mindset. But I really think, my big takeaway from this was just that team mentality. What are you doing to make those around you better? That was his focus. And by him working hard and showing everybody else, by being the first one at the stadium, then pretty soon the receivers are getting there earlier to catch some balls and run some routes. And that's not in anybody's contract. That's what he brought to that organization and created that culture of we're going to be the best when we hit that field. And they proved it.
Yeah. And I love origin stories too, right? And it's going back to that moment where he had that opportunity to play. He didn't think he was going to play. He only played mop-up duty the year before. So that 2001 season when Drew Bledsoe got hurt late in that game against the Jets, I think it was. Maybe it was the Giants. I can't remember which New York team it was. And he goes in there, and they say the rest is history. He was prepared for that moment.
Yeah.
Prepared for that moment. Yeah, I love some of these quotes that you were sharing.
You just, when you look at it, what did, who was it? Henry Cloud. Or no, not Henry Cloud. Dyer, Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Mm.
And just, a lot of the names we brought up already, and I know we got some other good stories and names coming up. But man, there's so much in that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It could be ordinary football game, ordinary workout, ordinary prep session. And yet I think Brady looked at it a little bit different and created that vision, and his teammates could see that vision through him. And to me, that's the success story. He couldn't have done it on his own. And then he goes into Tampa Bay. Look what he does there. I know it didn't end as strong as he would have liked it to, but walks right in there and just takes that team to another level. And there's only a handful of guys that have really done anything like that and done it consistently like he did.
And here's the thing, and I love how you shared that, because we've used this word several times in these podcasts about the word believe. So he believes, right? Tampa, right? The last time they won a Super Bowl was with Brad Johnson when John Gruden took over for a Tony Dungy team.
I remember that well.
All right. And now, Tampa didn't do anything since then. And he's coming into an environment where they're not used to winning, and he comes in with belief. He believes they can. Right? And New England didn't have that when he left. I think they have some of that with their coach, but there was a little bit of I don't believe we can do it. In Tampa, you saw it, you could feel it, you could see this shift and the change that took place. We believe, he believes that we can. I believe we can. If you got to have a quarterback that believes that you can.
Well, here's another quote from Tom Brady. You have to believe in your process. You have to believe in the things that you are doing to help the team win. I think you have to take the good with the bad.
Wow.
Again, it's just, this is the fact, guys. Here's where we're at.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. And
yeah, to come back and beat Atlanta in that Super Bowl, that was a belief statement. Who says that we can't? Let's give it a shot. Let's do it. Edelman with the shoestring catch, right? Oh man, there was, I think it was Edelman, right?
I don't
There were
remember,
so many moments
I
in
know.
there, but everybody believed that they could find a way to do it, and they did.
And I think to a certain extent, even with all the Brady fans out there, I got to feel like, those players on the field, man, they were some of the only people on the planet who believed they were going to come back from that deficit.
Yeah.
They came, and you could just after the first couple scores, you're just like, you got to be kidding me. All you got to do, Atlanta, is get one more score, and then they just won't catch it. And they couldn't do it. So there's a team effort, right? And you can't convince me that Brady did not elevate the ability, confidence, and mindset of the defense. Everybody looks at the story with Brady's big comeback. Don't forget, they pretty much shut down the Atlanta offense as well, after they almost scored at will. So again, it's that team dynamic, and that's what just really resonated with me when I heard him last month, just talking about how do I get my whole team better? How do I make those around me better? Just stuck with me like, wow.
Yeah. It reminds me of Joe Montana, because he sort of had that belief when he played, right? Against Cincinnati, and coming back to win that game, and looking over in the huddle and say, "Hey, there's John Candy over there. Let's go do this, guys. Let's punch this thing in."
Yeah.
And finding a way to do it. And I'm sure Brady was following them because he grew up in that area. But belief is everything.
Belief drives behavior.
Yeah.
Many of us have heard that over and over.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. This is so good. Great conversations. I want to go watch some highlights of Tom Brady, just believing that he can, and showing and seeing how the other teams just kind of follows that lead. The best way to lead is to believe.
There you go.
So
I like that.
Let's get into some tip and challenge, man. I'll let you start.
I think the tip is just the awareness of the judgment, kind of the way I open this up, telling a story, not so much an event or necessarily a player, but just the story of my kind of relationship with Tom Brady and how I felt about him. So I think the tip is, don't be so quick to judge. Don't be so quick to judge without really knowing the rest of the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I definitely follow that up with absolutely Brady mentality of, what are you doing? Here's a challenge, man. What are you doing? I challenge you, right? Challenge everybody. What are you doing to make those around you better? Just look at what you did today, maybe what you're going to do tomorrow. I know a lot of us are into personal development, personal growth definitely makes us better. What are you doing to make those around you better? Because at the end of the day, that's your legacy, right? That's the legacy piece, and legacy is an important word. We kind of throw it around here a lot, but man, it's important. The real impact we make in our lives is going to represent what impact we have when we're gone, and we only have the time we're here to do it. So, what difference are you making in the lives around you? There it is, man. That's my shot. I know I got to refocus on it.
No, dude, I love this. What are we doing for those around us? I just want to encourage everybody. Barry, when you were a kid, did you ever, have recess, where they pick teams at recess, and whether it's football out on the field or soccer or basketball, whatever. And,
Oh, yeah.
Somebody was first pick, second pick, you get picks, and then you're waiting for your name to be called, and you're not the first pick. And you're like 4 rounds in, 5 rounds in, and you're like, well, all right, Barry. I guess I got Barry. I guess I got Paul.
I feel like this is maybe bringing up some old wounds for you.
No, I'm just not so much. I mean, yeah, certainly when you're the runt kid in the neighborhood and everybody's older, you're not going to be the first pick out of the football team that's being created and formed on the field. And so you're just sitting there and you're waiting and you're waiting and you wonder. And I think for a lot of us, I mean, that's a childhood memory that people may have, but the truth of it is we sometimes still wonder in our adult lives, Am I going to be the one? Maybe you're looking for that job, or maybe you're looking for that next level opportunity and you're just wondering, will it ever come? And preparation is everything.
Yeah.
So if you take time, just prepare, wait for the moment. What is the definition of luck?
When preparation meets opportunity.
When preparation meets opportunity. So you control the first part, preparation. Preparation prepares you for the next part, opportunity.
Yep.
All right. And when that opportunity comes, you're ready. So even if you were the last pick, the pick 199, you're like, okay, I'm prepared. I'm ready. I'll take what opportunities are in front of me. I'm going to make the most of what I've got.
And I'll tell you, this is a great way to kind of wrap up the call, but I'll tell you this, because we've been talking about mindset, in almost all these episodes. And I know you and I have been going through, again, Carol Dweck's mindset book. If you're operating at a fixed mindset level, you're not going to be operating at the awareness to see those opportunities.
Yeah.
You're going to miss them. They're going to go right by you. And I've seen people do it. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't done it at times in my life. But that's why you got to maintain that positive attitude. You told the story of just now, growing up as kids, and we all went through that. We all went through okay, who's going to be the captains, who's going to pick. What crossed my mind is thinking about the ones that were chosen last. Those are the folks that we can encourage, that we can support.
Yeah.
The people that didn't get picked. Those people are all around us, and that's a great opportunity in itself to make a difference. And those folks need it more than anybody.
Yeah.
So be that light, be that hope for them.
Speak life. We talked about that a couple podcasts back, about speaking life into people.
Yeah.
And that's the opportunity that we have. And sometimes for that person, they just need to find that one thing that they can do and do well at. And then they start to see other things that they can do.
Yeah.
None of us are the complete package.
No, not by any means.
Right. Tom Brady was a quarterback. He wasn't running back. He would never run the ball.
Dude, it's because he had no wheels.
Right. He wasn't a receiver.
He even laughs at himself about it.
Yeah. He wasn't a defender. He was a quarterback, and he knew how to lead, and he knew how to prepare himself, and he knew it was all about getting better. Yeah. And that's what we can do. We work to get better.
We hear so many, Peyton Manning's another one who I brought up earlier, interesting that those two guys ended up playing golf. He was another one, spent so much. You look at the great quarterbacks. What's one thing they have in common? They all spent hours and hours and hours in the film room watching tape.
Yep.
So they knew it. They knew it was coming. They knew what they were going up against.
Yeah. Here's somebody that I admire. He's not a Tom Brady, so I'm not putting him in the same camp. But Kirk Cousins, I'm really impressed with, because he has found a way to overcome the challenges. Einstein says, in the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. And, we're going to have some challenges, some difficulties, but yet in the midst of that, there's going to be an opportunity. And if we've prepared, we'll be ready for it. We'll be ready for it. So, and
Kirk Cousins has been very good about reaching out and getting mentorship from great minds, especially on leadership.
Yeah, so true. So important to do that. Guys, don't be on an island. Don't do this solo. Even Tom Brady, if you go back and you see some of those workout tapes, he's got other minds coming in and helping him. He's got a very supportive set of parents. Just reach out, find those others. He had a trainer that really helped him. I mean, there's all sorts of stories there. Yeah, I love it, man. This is such a good episode. We encourage you guys to go visit us at breakingaverage.com. Check out the website. Check out what Barry's doing too. His tagline for his business, but really his mindset is, I'm about building what matters, building people.
Yeah.
And I love that, Barry. And I just want to encourage folks to check out what you're doing. You have been a value add to me as I look and see my journey especially over the last 11 years since I've known you.
Likewise,
It's
brother.
better. It's better because of people like you, especially you, just kind of lifted me up and given me new clarity and believe in me, speak life in me. Belief is important. And then create that hope for others. So thank you for doing that for me. And I know you do it for other people.
It's been an honor, man. And I'll tell you what, I'm a product of my environment and you're part of it. So coming right back at you.
Thank you, man. All right. Well, guys, fun episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you like some of this Tom Brady discussion, whether you're a football fan or not. It's just about that willingness to get back up no matter what happens. And we've got a great opportunity. Each of us, you, as you're listening and watching this, recognize you have a huge opportunity to make an impact.
Every day.
The question is, are you prepared? Are you preparing? Are you getting ready for that? Because those who are prepared when the opportunity comes, they hit it out of the park.
Endless opportunities out there.
Yeah. So luck. What'd you say? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Breaking Average podcast. If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe. This show was produced by R Squared Multimedia. All opinions and comments expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and do not reflect the opinions or views of any of the advertisers, producers, or platforms. As you continue your day, what is one action that you can apply from this podcast to your life? Tune in for our next episode as we continue to challenge everyone to break average.
All right. Did we hit it the way you wanted?
I liked it, man. I liked it.
It's good.
Just good dialogue. I mean, good story. It just really resonated with that. Just my journey with Tom Brady and how much things changed over time. It's like, wow. And then hearing him speak just, off the cuff, 100% authentic. Nobody going to judge him. He was doing this interview not for the sports base. He was doing it at an event, and man, it was just raw, right? And you don't get that. You don't get that in a typical interview anywhere. So how often do you see a real raw interview? It's usually the guy with asking the questions, very pointed questions, about what happened in the last 3 hours, and that's it. So I'm just very impressed. I'm just very impressed with him.
What's interesting is this whole thought process because of not liking somebody, and it's not because we don't like him because he's not good,
right?
But you choose not to root. They are in opposition of your favorite team. And when they're in the opposition of your favorite team, then you're kind of like, he wins another Super Bowl. Wait a minute, this is the guy that was picked 199. He's the underdog, right? Now, in hindsight, we can look at it and like, you know what? It didn't really matter about my team. What mattered was that guy brought joy to the sport, made us all just marvel at what he was doing and how he brought his team together. And that's what's beautiful about sports is seeing the spirit that people have, and just bringing it full. They're 100% all in, right?
When we talk about building relationships, whether it's a personal relationship, business relationship, who are they? My dad was a stockbroker early in his career and very much into stocks and investing. Taught me a lot. And he said, always look at the people behind the business before you invest in a company. Don't buy into P&L. Don't buy into into the people running the business. I
Yeah.
never forgot that.
Yeah, it's so good.